Welcome back to Living Tips, Senior Life, your trusted space to explore the deeper truths about aging, staying strong, and living with real purpose after 60. I'm Dr. John Grant, and if you're tuning in right now, whether you're in your 60s, 70s, or well into your 80s, I want to invite you to pause for a moment and think about something you may not have considered. What if the very foods you've been told to avoid are actually the ones your body needs most? What if something as basic as what's on your plate could make the difference between waking up in a fog or starting the day with a clear mind, between stiff joints and flexible movement, between aging quickly or aging with resilience and grace? Today's episode might surprise you, maybe even challenge what you've believed for years, because we're not diving into the world of fancy supplements, miracle pills, or expensive regimens. We're talking about something far more familiar: carbohydrates. Now I know what you might be thinking. Carbs? Aren't those the bad guys? You've heard it for decades: cut the carbs. Carbs make you fat. Carbs mess with your memory. It's become almost automatic to avoid them. But what if I told you that the problem isn't carbs themselves? It's the type of carbs we've been choosing, or avoiding. After 60, your body doesn't just tolerate the right carbohydrates, it actually needs them. For your brain. For your joints. For your mood. And for that deep, lasting energy that keeps you moving through the day. Now, I'm not alone in saying this. Today, I'm honored, truly honored, to welcome back someone who embodies the very spirit of lifelong vitality. Dr. Shigeki Hainohara, a living legend in Japan. Over 100 years old, still walking daily, still practicing medicine, and still inspiring generations with his energy, compassion, and clarity of mind. If there's anyone who understands the art of living well, not just living long, it's him. Let's give him a warm welcome. Doctor, thank you again for being with us. I know what we're about to share could reshape how people over 60 think about food, especially carbs. Thank you, Dr. Grant. And thank you to everyone listening today. Yes, what we're going to talk about may sound unusual at first, even contradictory. But it's true. Carbohydrates are not your enemy. They've been unfairly blamed. The key is not cutting them out, it's about choosing the right ones, and preparing them with care. As we age, everything shifts, metabolism slows, digestion becomes more delicate, and our brains become more sensitive to ups and downs in blood sugar, inflammation, and nutrient intake. Yet many older adults are unknowingly depriving themselves of the very nutrients that could restore balance and strength. In Japan, we have an old saying: eat with the seasons, and the body remembers who it is. When you choose the right carbohydrates, you're not just giving your body fuel, you're sending it messages. You are safe. You are nourished. You are supported. These calming messages affect the gut, the brain, and even our emotional stability. For elders, they can be quiet heroes, helping us stay grounded, sharp, and emotionally balanced. That is such a powerful reframing, doctor. I can't tell you how many of my patients, especially here in the US, are afraid of carbs. They're told: cut the bread. No rice. Fruit? Only in moderation. If it's not a fat or a protein, it's bad. But in doing that, many of them actually feel worse. They're tired. They're cold. They feel moody and foggy. Exactly. And they often blame their age, not the missing energy. But when the brain is underfed, it doesn't shout, it whispers. It shows up as a little more forgetfulness, a little more sadness, a little more stiffness. The cause? Often, it's something quiet too. A root vegetable we stopped eating. A grain we left behind. A starch removed in the name of dieting. But the truth is, after 60, your body doesn't want to be in survival mode. It wants to thrive. It needs steady, nourishing support. Today, I'll share with you 4 powerful carbohydrates that do exactly that. And at the end, one food in particular may surprise you. It could be the single most powerful carb for the aging brain that many Western diets have nearly forgotten. I love this. And for those of you watching, please stay until the end, because what Dr. Hinohara just hinted at truly stunned me. It's not a pill. It's not expensive. It's not some trendy powder. It's a simple, affordable food, and it may restore strength and clarity faster than anything I've seen in practice. But doctor, let's not jump ahead. Start us off with the first carb you believe every senior should be eating regularly, but most aren't. Let's begin in a small region of Japan, Okinawa. It's one of the world's most famous blue zones, places where people routinely live well into their 90s and beyond. There, you'll find a special root that's been quietly nourishing generations. The Okinawan purple sweet potato. Now, this isn't some sugary dessert. It's not smothered in butter or marshmallows. It's steamed, roasted, eaten with care. In many homes, it replaces white rice. It's the centerpiece, not the side dish. The centerpiece? That's powerful. What makes it so vital for the aging brain? These vibrant purple roots are rich in anthocyanins, natural plant compounds that protect neurons from oxidative stress. They calm inflammation in the blood vessels that feed the brain. And they release energy slowly, which helps regulate blood sugar without the crashes. That kind of gentle support is exactly what many older adults are missing. That makes so much sense. Here in the West, we're often told to stay away from starchy foods, and sweet potatoes get tossed into the bad carb group, especially for people concerned about blood sugar. But what you're describing sounds like the exact opposite. Exactly. Of course, not everyone responds the same. People with advanced diabetes need to be careful. But this isn't about sweet potato fries. It's about half a steamed purple sweet potato, enjoyed slowly, as part of a simple meal. There's science behind it too. A study in the Asia-Pacific Journal of Clinical Nutrition followed older adults who ate these purple sweet potatoes regularly. The results? Improved memory, lower inflammation, better blood pressure, more emotional resilience. And this wasn't some lab experiment. These were real people, preparing meals in small kitchens, living full, active lives. That's what makes this so beautiful. This isn't theory. It's real food. Real lives. Real results. Doctor, what's next? What's the second carbohydrate people over 60 should reconsider, maybe even welcome back into their kitchens? Like ballast in a ship, barley keeps things steady. It's not flashy. It doesn't promise miracles. But over time, it quietly builds resilience in the body. That's right. But let me offer a word of caution. If you have celiac disease or a severe gluten intolerance, barley isn't for you. While it contains less gluten than wheat, it still has enough to cause discomfort or flare-ups in sensitive individuals. However, for most older adults, especially those dealing with sluggish digestion, rising cholesterol, or energy that swings up and down, muji is like gentle medicine for the body. That's the kind of grounded, practical advice we need more of, something that's not just based on theory but lived experience. And I love how you emphasize that health isn't one size fits all. What works wonders for one might not be right for another. So now I'm really curious. What's the third carb you say deserves a second chance, especially after 60? The third one might surprise you, simply because it seems too plain, too humble. But in Japan, we've relied on it as a daily ally for generations: short grain brown rice. Now, I'm not talking about polished white rice, the one most people are used to. I'm talking about the whole grain version, with the bran and germs still intact. It's hearty. It's chewy. And it's a powerhouse when it comes to supporting older bodies. Short grain brown rice contains magnesium, B vitamins, and slow-burning carbohydrates that nourish the nervous system and support neurotransmitter function. And that's so important after 60. Because the body doesn't handle sharp glucose spikes like it used to. Even a mild rise or fall in blood sugar can lead to dizziness, fatigue, or brain fog. Exactly. And brown rice gives you that slow, sustained release of energy. But I understand the hesitation. I've heard people say, brown rice is hard to digest, or, it makes me bloated. And yes, that can be true, especially if someone has weaker digestion or isn't used to high-fiber grains. But there's a secret: preparation matters. In Japan, we always soak brown rice before cooking, often overnight. Then we rinse it several times to soften the bran layer and reduce phytic acid. This makes the grain much easier to digest. And when we cook it, we often add a pinch of sea salt, not just for taste, but to balance its energy according to traditional principles. I love that. And the science backs you up. A long-term observational study from Kyoto University followed over 1,200 older adults. Those who ate whole grains, especially brown rice, at least 4 times a week had better blood sugar control, lower waist circumference, and even stronger cognitive performance than those who mostly ate refined grains. That's pretty amazing. And what's great is, it's doable. You're not telling people to give up rice completely. Just switch to a better version. If rice is already on the plate, it can stay, it just needs to be the right kind. Exactly. And now, we come to the one that surprises most people. The final carbohydrate I recommend, especially for brain and emotional health, is something that's often forgotten or dismissed. Warm oats. Oats? That is unexpected. Here in the US, oats are seen as just a breakfast food, or worse, as a carb to cut. Yes, but when prepared thoughtfully, not the instant packets, not the sugar-loaded versions, but slow-cooked oats, gently seasoned with warming spices or sea salt, they become medicine for the nervous system. Oats are rich in complex carbs that release energy slowly. They contain magnesium, which calms the muscles and nervous system. And they're packed with B vitamins like B6, which help convert tryptophan into serotonin, the mood-stabilizing chemical we need to stay calm and sleep well. For many seniors, especially those dealing with irritability, mood swings, or restless sleep, a small bowl of warm oats in the evening can be incredibly soothing. That's fascinating. We always think of oats as a morning food. But what you're saying is that they might actually be best in the evening? Yes. In Japan, we believe in the power of soft, warm foods at night, foods that calm the gut and the mind. And oats, while not traditionally Japanese, fit this philosophy beautifully. In fact, a study in the Journal of Clinical Sleep Medicine found that a small serving of complex carbohydrates before bed helped older adults fall asleep faster and stay asleep longer. Oats were one of the best performing grains in that research. That's incredible, and honestly, so easy. A warm bowl of oats isn't expensive. It's not complicated. It's not a prescription. It's comfort, with purpose. Yes. But I always remind people, moderation matters, especially for those with diabetes or high insulin sensitivity. A half cup of cooked oats is usually enough. And always avoid flavored packets. They're filled with hidden sugars and additives that can undo the benefits. This is a healing food, not dessert. That's such a key distinction. It's how, when, and why you eat that makes all the difference. Doctor, I think you've just helped a lot of people reframe their relationship with carbs. You've shown us that not all carbohydrates are the enemy. In fact, some are medicine when chosen and prepared with care. But as always, there's a shadow side. Yes, not every carb belongs on your plate. In fact, some are quietly draining your energy, fogging your brain, and weakening your resilience, especially after 60. So let's talk about those. The ones we need to limit, or even eliminate. What's the first carb you believe every senior should approach with real caution? The first one, and perhaps the most dangerous for seniors, is white sandwich bread. It's in almost every pantry. It's soft, familiar, and often labeled as enriched or fortified, which gives people the false impression that it's healthy. But after 60, this bread becomes one of the most disruptive things you can eat daily. Why is that? Because it's made from highly refined wheat flour, often bleached and stripped of natural fiber. Then it's artificially boosted with synthetic vitamins, which the aging gut often struggles to absorb. Instead of giving you sustained energy, white bread triggers a sharp spike in blood sugar, followed by a crash. That crash doesn't just leave you tired, it fuels joint inflammation, clouds your mind, and even interferes with your mood and sleep. I've seen that firsthand. Patients come in saying they feel foggy, achy, and drained, right after what they thought was a light breakfast, like toast or a sandwich. Yes. And they never suspect the bread. But it's not just what's missing in white bread, it's what's added: preservatives, emulsifiers, and hidden sugars. Over time, these ingredients tax the liver, disrupt digestion, and worsen insulin resistance. And let me add, this isn't about fear or guilt. If someone's metabolically healthy and eats white bread occasionally, as part of a fiber-rich meal, they may not notice a huge impact. But for most people over 60, especially those with joint pain, brain fog, or prediabetes, it's simply not worth it. Exactly. I've seen remarkable changes in patients who removed white sandwich bread for just 1 week: clearer thoughts, more stable energy, fewer cravings. White bread isn't just empty, it's actively confusing the body. All right, doctor. That's one major offender down. But I know there's more. What's the next carb that often pretends to be healthy, but could be just as harmful? Okay, we've talked about white bread, but here's one that tricks even the most health-conscious folks: multigrain bread, especially the kind you find in mainstream grocery stores. Yes. On the surface, it looks healthier. It's darker. It might have seeds sprinkled on top. The label might say 7 grains or made with whole wheat. But don't be fooled, those words are often misleading. When you look closely, the first ingredient is usually still refined white flour. Those grains are often heavily processed, broken down, or added in such tiny amounts that they offer none of the benefits the label implies. Even worse, many of these breads are sweetened with molasses, sugar, or honey to create a heartier flavor. Then they add caramel coloring to make it look more like whole grain bread. That's incredibly frustrating. I've had so many patients proudly tell me they've switched from white bread to multigrain thinking it's a big step forward. And honestly, who can blame them? The packaging is rustic, the marketing is slick, but their inflammation markers and blood sugar levels often stay high. Exactly. And I don't fault them at all. The intention is there. They're trying. But the food industry is clever. Unless you read that ingredient list very carefully, you might be falling into the same trap. One study in the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that seniors who regularly ate processed multigrain products had no better blood sugar or heart outcomes than those who just ate white bread. Why? Because both were still made with refined grains. Now, to be fair, there are real whole grain breads out there, like those made with sprouted grains or true sourdough fermentation. Those are a different story. Absolutely. Real sprouted or fermented breads, especially ones without added sugar or preservatives, can offer slow-digesting carbs and gut-supportive nutrients. But the word multigrain means nothing by itself. It often signals a shortcut. So for anyone listening, if you're buying bread, look for 100% whole grain as the first ingredient. No added sugar. No coloring. Fewer ingredients. And here's a test: if the bread doesn't go stale within a week, it's probably not real bread. That's 2 culprits down. What's the third carbohydrate you believe people over 60 should seriously reconsider? Number 3 is a big one: breakfast cereal, especially the boxed, ready-to-eat kind labeled heart healthy, fortified, or low-fat. That's going to surprise people. I know. But these cereals are highly processed. The natural fiber is stripped out. Then they spray it with synthetic vitamins, most of which aren't absorbed well by the aging gut. But the real danger? These cereals digest incredibly fast. Within minutes, blood sugar spikes, sometimes higher than a slice of cake. That spike triggers an insulin surge, followed by a crash. And that crash leads to what so many seniors feel mid-morning: shakiness, fatigue, irritability, or even anxiety. That tracks with what I hear in clinic. A patient will say, "I switched to bran flakes," or "I only eat cornflakes now." But they're still tired by 10 a.m., still inflamed, still foggy. Exactly. And it's not just our experience. A 2018 study in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society found that older adults who regularly ate high glycemic cereals had higher fasting insulin, more belly fat, and even lower memory test scores over time. And don't be fooled by high-fiber claims. Many cereals are coated with sugar, molasses, or mixed with syrupy dried fruits. Even the so-called healthy options can be sugar bombs in disguise. So cereal isn't the gentle, nutritious start people think it is. No, it's more like a false start. You flood your body with sugar, then expect it to focus, move, and stay steady. It's not realistic. Now, if someone really enjoys cereal, I tell them, treat it like a base, not the whole meal. Add chia seeds, flax, unsweetened almond milk, a scoop of protein, and cut the portion in half. But even better? Replace it with warm oats, or even a savory breakfast like steamed rice with egg. The difference in energy, mood, and digestion is profound. We've hit 3 now. What's the final carb you caution older adults to steer clear of? The fourth, and maybe the most dangerous, is refined pastries and sweet baked goods. I'm talking muffins, croissants, danishes, even those little breakfast bars labeled whole grain. These are not breakfast. They are blood sugar bombs. They're everywhere too. Coffee shops, retirement centers, even hospital cafeterias. Exactly. And they're dangerous not just because of the sugar, but because of the combo: sugar, refined flour, processed oils, and preservatives. This combination spikes insulin, fuels visceral fat, and triggers inflammation in the brain and joints. For older adults, that often means more brain fog, more stiffness, and deeper energy crashes later in the day. And people don't connect the dots. They'll say, "It's just a small muffin with my coffee." But one muffin becomes a habit. And suddenly, their blood sugar's up, their knees hurt, and they don't know why. Right. And the worst part is, it doesn't hit all at once. The damage builds slowly. One muffin at a time. A study in the journals of gerontology found that older adults who frequently consumed refined pastries had higher levels of CRP, a marker of inflammation, and scored lower on memory tests, regardless of their weight. So this isn't about appearance. It's about how your body is responding internally, especially your brain. Yes. And listen, food is emotional. It's part of our traditions. I never want anyone to feel shame around it. But once you understand what these foods do to an aging body, you can make better choices. Even reducing how often you eat them can have a big impact. So now we've come full circle. For carbohydrates that heal, and for that harm. Doctor, what final message would you offer to someone over 60 who's trying to rethink their relationship with carbs? Carbohydrates are not your enemy. But after 60, your body is more sensitive, it listens closely to what you feed it. So choose carbs that remember their roots, carbs that are slow, nourishing, and gentle. Foods that speak softly to your gut, fuel your brain, and support healing. Eat with wisdom, and your body will return the favor. That's it right there. Thank you, Dr. Hinohara, for your time, your clarity, and your deep wisdom. To everyone listening, your next bite is a choice. Make it count.